Good evening and welcome one and all to PACIFIC414 episode review, Cobra Kai Season 5, Thoughts and Opinion. I am your sensei, Mike, and joining me this evening is my co-host for this edition of PACIFIC414 episode review to give his thoughts and opinion on this past season of Cobra Kai Cashmoney007.
What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, my guidance counselor says that certain words perpetuate this sexist worldview that could trigger...
Quiet! From now on, you won't listen to your guidance counselor. You're going to listen to me. Is that understood?
Yes, sensei.
Every time.
I love it. And
it's funny.
Cash, you do know if you get out of line.
Quiet!
Yeah, whatever. Tell you to shut up if I have to.
Quiet!
Not gonna work always. Or ever.
No, it's not. But ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight to give our thoughts and opinion on this past season of Cobra Kai. And I gotta say, from episode 1 all the way to episode 10, I was thoroughly entertained. I especially enjoyed the way Chosen was put into this particular season, especially with him being teased at the end of episode 10 of season 4. You know, when you see Daniel at the graveside of Mr. Miyagi, and then the camera pans over and you see Chosen, and just the use of Chosen this season, how he was able to get under the skin of Silver and, you know, just be a good thorn in the side, and also his dynamic with Daniel and how that impacted with Daniel's home life and Amanda, you know, having to adjust to Chosen being there. And then, of course, the relationship between Robbie and Johnny, you know, that was pretty good. They were able to mend some fences there. And then you have Mike Barnes, the way they bring him back, and I really like that. But, you know, Silver, he's a son of a, you know what?
Mm-hmm. You can say it.
I know. I will say it. He was a son of a bitch.
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
Yes, he is.
How about you, Cash?
I mean, you covered a lot of it. I feel the same way, you know, besides Stingray, who I thought is just this, you know, he's like this guy in his 30s who wants to be in Cobra Kai, do karate, and then he's being manipulated by by Silver as well, because everybody is. Tori is trying to decide if she should come clean with Sam and tell the truth about the fact that the tournament between her and Sam was rigged, and I could understand her demons dealing with that. You've got Kenny just wants to keep, you know, destroying Anthony and you know, because he did these horrible things to him before, treated him like trash, and so now he's like, it's revenge, but he's taking it too far. Miguel finds out about his real dad. I mean, there's so many interesting situations, and Chosen was great. He's funny. He added a lot more. I like him in this than I like this more than his role in Karate Kid 2 in the movie. Like, he was mean in that, and he added, but I like him even better in this. Just the character growth, I've enjoyed, and he's a lot of good humor that we didn't even see in the second Karate Kid, that we didn't even know he was capable of, I guess. But just also Daniel dealing with the fact that his dojo, Miyagi, excuse me, Miyagi. Gosh, it's been a little while since I've seen this show. That it's going to all fall apart, but even Daniel's wife understands that, you know what, we need to support him, because if we don't, then things are really going to get worse for Cobra Kai, and they can't stop causing problems, and they want to take over all the dojos, and we need to find a way to stop Silver. But I really like that whole character build up where it's like Daniel looked like the bad guy, and he's actually still the good person, but he's just trying to. His wife doesn't like the fact that he's still in this rivalry. Can you let this go? Because this is going to hurt our marriage. And as we know, she walks away from him until she talks to somebody who actually dated Daniel, and they became family, which is very interesting. And of course, she was in the third Karate Kid movie. And
Jessica.
Right, Jessica, yeah, and everything ties in, and the show is still very enjoyable. So I just keep hoping it needs, or I should say, it actually needs to keep going in this direction, because it's just really fun show. But there's good values here, and as we've talked about before, we don't have many shows that have good values anymore, but Cobra Kai does, and I really enjoy that. From friendship to loyalty to, are we doing the right things, to should we even be fighting these people, should we be is our egos too big? Like there's so many, but Silver is still pulling all the strings like the puppet master, and it's just like he needs to get what's coming to him, and he does, because he deserves it. Yeah.
And
okay.
even the
Cobra
scenes.
Jedi picked up on something. Okay, Jessica and Daniel never dated. That's right. They just were good. Didn't they go out on a date in the third movie though?
I thought they did.
Liked each other. Are you sure about that, Cobra? Because I think they did go out on a date. They liked each other.
Yeah, because even in this season, Jessica says that she hooked Amanda up with Daniel.
Yep.
But one of the things I really enjoyed this season was also the dynamic between Chosen and Johnny.
Yes, they're a lot alike.
Two peas of the same pod, if you want to put it that way. And they're talking about Daniel, and they do say in the end that Daniel is a good guy. He cares about his friends, he cares about his family, but Chosen and Johnny have a common bond, and that's one of the things I really liked about it for this past season. But I also like the fact that when you have Miguel in Mexico looking for his father Hector.
Yes.
And he gets to Mexico right at the bus station, and he gets swindled by three guys. And the one guy says, "Hey mate, can I help you?" "Yeah, I'm looking for the street." "Oh yeah, I can help you." And as he's drawing the directions on the map, he has one of his goons come up behind Miguel and take his backpack that he put on the ground.
Yes.
And then he takes some of his money. He doesn't take all of his money. He says, "What kind of monster do you think I really am?"
Yep.
He puts some of it back, but he takes all the big bills.
So what you got to do is you've got to arm yourself in that situation. Like, oh, okay, you see this? Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, we're not going to play these games. But of course, Johnny shows up, and then of course Robbie, his son, shows up.
Yep.
And then they get revenge. They said, "Okay, it's party time." Yep.
So yeah, this is when this guy from Australia was swindling
Mhm.
poor Miguel,
Yep.
and of course, the guy says, "How much you got?" And that's when Miguel unfortunately has to give up his money. Meanwhile, Johnny and Robbie are on the hunt for Miguel. Of course, they come out of a convenience store, and one of the things that I found funny was when Johnny's getting back in the van and he's holding up the cell phone, the prepaid phone, and he says, "Yeah, it's got 60 minutos on it. That's almost 300 American."
Yeah,
I just thought that was funny.
it is. It's very funny.
So yeah, this is where he's showing Robbie everything that he got in the convenience store. And Robbie is actually glad that he and Johnny are on this trip, but he doesn't know the real reason why yet.
That's right. He didn't.
Mm-mm. And of course, this is where back in the States, Daniel is informing the kids that he is shutting down Miyagi Do karate.
Hmm.
Of course, Sam doesn't like it.
Nope.
And what were your impressions of Sam this season? Did you like the way she acted? Did you have moments where you
No,
didn't
I
care for her?
understand. No, I understand how she felt. I mean, it's a screwed up situation. Uh, it's but that was the bet, and that was the agreement. But of course, Silver cheated. And then when Tori found out, it's one of those things. Do I want to keep going? Well, she did. But I agree with Sam. Why didn't you tell us earlier?
Yeah.
It's messed up.
So we have that with Miyagi Do closing down. Of course, Sam, this is where she's talking to Daniel and she's upset about the fact that Miyagi Do is shutting down. You can't blame her. You really can't.
Right. Right.
And of course, back in Mexico, we see Miguel. He's was looking for that address that guy swindled him for on the map. He arrives at the address, Castillo Escondido, and he gets in there. Of course, it's a bar, and he looks in this one room because this guy right here is named Hector, and Miguel
Mhm.
automatically thinks that's his father.
But
Well, come to find out, the guy isn't his father, and of course, one of his goons is standing
mhm.
right behind Miguel, and
Yeah.
as Miguel is trying to explain to this guy who he thinks is his father that he is Miguel Diaz and his mother's name is Carmen, and she's from Ecuador. And this guy's all, I don't know any Carmen, and I
Mhm.
definitely wouldn't date anyone from Ecuador. So
Mhm.
he essentially tells Miguel to, get out of his fight. And one of his guys, the same guy from behind, tries to pick a fight with Miguel, and Miguel basically knocks him on his ass.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that Hector tells Miguel, "You better leave, kid." And then this is where Robbie's finding out the real reason why they're down in Mexico, and Robbie's not too pleased about it. And Johnny's trying to say, "Listen, I care about the both of you. I don't want anything to happen to either one of you."
Right.
And they're having a conversation, and Robbie was under this pretense that he and Johnny were going on this father son bonding trip to Mexico, and trying to build that bridge between the two of them.
Mhm.
And they do get into an argument, and as they're getting into an argument, there's a vehicle that comes across, and Johnny has to swerve, and unfortunately suffers a flat tire.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, back in the States, Chosen is getting some details on Terry Silver and Cobra Kai and what they're up against. And
Mhm.
this is where they're seeing video and Terry Silver's hyping up Cobra Kai, saying, "Everybody come to Cobra Kai. We're going to be opening dojos all across the valley. And, this is going to be a safe place for kids."
Right.
And, you know, again, you see that caption there from the line where Daniel's telling Chosen, this is how everybody sees him as this millionaire philanthropist,
Mhm.
this great guy for the community. And
Mhm.
he's
Yeah.
actually a snake in the ground.
Yes.
And Chosen tells Daniel, well, there's only one way to get rid of a snake. You got to go for the head. And we also get the scene where Chosen brings out his size because he brought those with him from Japan. And then we're getting this flashback video replay of Tori and
Yes.
Sam's fight at the All Valley tournament. And why? Because Sam's reliving it and she's watching the video over and over again and she's trying to figure out how she could have blocked Tori's strike. And she knows she should have won.
Right.
And that's one of the things she's having a hard time dealing with is the fact that she should have won.
Mhm.
And then while she's going over that, Miguel calls her from Mexico, and that's where Sam says, "What are you doing? Your mom's worried about you. Your grandma's worried about you. Johnny's out looking for you." He's all, "I'm fine. I'm in Mexico. I'm looking for my
Mhm.
dad."
Mhm.
And this is where we get the first hint that both Sam and Miguel are going to break up
Yes. Good point.
because Miguel couldn't finish in the tournament, and Sam's dealing with the repercussions of the loss. She's doubting herself, her abilities. And after Sam and Miguel finish their conversation, they haven't broken up yet. But after Sam and Miguel finish their conversation, Miguel hears this guy here on the right say, "Hey, Hector." And Miguel's looking and thinking, "Is that my dad? Is that the Hector I'm looking for?" So, you know, Miguel decides he's gonna follow, and then we get back to Robbie and Johnny having to repair the tire, and this is where Robbie shows Johnny where in the back of the van where the lug wrench is, so they can fix the tire. And they're having a father son conversation, and Johnny does say to Robbie, "Would you have come if I had told you the truth? If I told you that we're coming looking for Miguel?" And Robbie says, "Probably not." So they had that conversation, and then Johnny has to make a phone call. So he asks Robbie to finish repairing the tire on the van. And Johnny ends up calling Miguel's mom, Carmen, and he's telling her, "Carmen, I will find him. I will do whatever I can to find Miguel. Robbie's with me. We'll be fine." Of course, Carmen's worried because Miguel doesn't know who his father
Right.
really is, how dangerous his father is, and she doesn't want anything to happen to Miguel. She doesn't want anything to happen to Robbie and Johnny as they're in search of Miguel. So then we get back to the States, and what's Cobra Kai doing? They're recruiting kids to Cobra Kai. Again, they're opening dojos all across the valley, and they want more students. So there you see Kenny passing out pamphlets, and things are getting even more precarious for Daniel and the gang. Of course, there you see Terry Silver. He's at the main Cobra Kai dojo because Chosen and Daniel are in Daniel's car and they're doing recon and trying to, find out what's Silver's game this time. What's he up to? So they're trying to come up with a strategy on what they need to do. And this is where Daniel comes up with an idea that Chosen picks up on and adds to, that Chosen should go in and pose as a sensei looking to work with Cobra Kai. So that you have Chosen as a mole. And of course, Chosen's also showing Daniel a few moves that Daniel doesn't know that Chosen has up his sleeve.
Yep.
So they're going over their strategy and also a few more moves for added defense. Meanwhile, back in Mexico, you see Miguel. He's trailing Hector because he wants to find out if this man named Hector is indeed his father. And there he sees that Hector's with a little boy, so he thinks that that little boy is possibly, his half brother. And Miguel introduces himself to the little boy. Of course, the little boy has the soccer ball, and there's a reason why I'm bringing that up, but we haven't gotten to that scene yet. Meanwhile, we get back to Robbie and Johnny, and the tire is now fixed. So Robbie and Johnny can go on their search for Miguel, and they end up arriving at the same bus station that Miguel got off at. And of course, they meet our Aussie friend here. And what our Aussie friend doesn't realize when he tries to take Johnny's wallet, at least one of his buddies does, as he's giving them direction, is that Johnny has backup as they try to pick a fight with Johnny. When Johnny says, "What are you trying to do? You're trying to pickpocket here. You're trying to take my wallet. I'm not going for that." So a fight ends up happening, and thanks to Robbie, Johnny actually gets out of that fight with just a bruise. And here, I'll try to get to it. And there you see it. After a few kicks and punches and a broken surfboard, everybody but Johnny and Robbie are face down on the ground. So we have that. And then, of course, Miguel's still following Hector, his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's son. Yes, that is a spoiler. And what ends up happening is the little boy ends up running out in the street, and Miguel ends up saving the little boy and preventing him from getting hit by a van that was coming. So this is where Miguel introduces himself. Of course, Hector's thrilled. The little boy's mother's thrilled that Miguel was able to save the little boy, and they invite him to dinner. And Miguel says, "No, no, no, I can't." And Hector says, "No, I insist." And I gotta say, I'm not familiar with the actor that played Hector, but he did an excellent job in the role.
Yeah, he did a nice job.
And this is where Hector is saying, "No, Miguel, you helped my family. You just saved my little boy. Please come join us for dinner. We would be honored to have you." So we get back to Johnny and Robbie, and they're having a nice father and son talk. Of course, you see that Johnny's got a bruise, and Johnny's icing it down with a beer while Robbie's icing down his bruise with a Coke. And what's funny is I didn't mention it while they were at the convenience store, but Johnny did say Mexican Cokes. And if anybody knows that when you go to Mexico, you can actually get Coca Cola with actual real sugar in it, just like the original recipe.
The more you know.
Yeah. But they're having a nice father and son talk, and Robbie's saying, Dad, I'm glad you brought me with you because it's giving them a chance to create that father son bond that they weren't able to create before. And before the episode closes out, you see Daniel here with the chain, and he's locking the fence, and he's shutting down Miyagi-Do karate. And then we get back to both Johnny and Robbie, and they're eating some gummy worms, gummy candy, and they're just having a nice father son moment. Meanwhile, you get back with Miguel and Hector's girlfriend and son, and they're having a nice dinner together and just a nice family moment. It's giving Miguel what he actually needs. And of course, back with Daniel and Amanda, one of the things Amanda mentioned in the beginning of this episode was the fact that Chosen was swimming laps in their pool. And, she was shocked to see Chosen come out because Chosen was swimming in the pool all natural.
Yep.
So this is where Daniel's making up for it by having Mai Tais by the pool because that's what Amanda wanted. And of course, this is Terry Silver, and he's talking to senseis from all across the valley and saying what he expects from them and what he's going to do. One of them is he's going to pay them a lot of money. And, with Terry Silver, he's got the money and he's not afraid to flaunt that money. Of course, for anyone who might be able to tell, one of these senseis is Chosen himself. And of course, he gives him a false name. Silver doesn't know it yet, but he will definitely find out. So, your thoughts on episode 1, Cash, overall?
It's strong. I mean, we learn a lot. You've got the Chosen situation. I enjoyed Johnny and Robbie beating the heck out of those guys who screwed over Miguel. You've got the whole situation with the thing. I would give it. I would give it an 8. Actually, I'd give the episode an 8.
Yep. I would definitely give this an 8 as well. I thought it was a solid, beginning episode for the new season and, started off strong. And it also built upon what had previously occurred in previous seasons. And what I liked is I like that this episode, yes, it was called A Long, Long Way from Home, but it was about family and the bond of family.
Yep.
And that's what Hector was looking for, with his girlfriend and little boy was his family, but also that's what Miguel was looking for, was being reunited with his father. And even though Carmen tried to warn him, we'll get into that when we get into episode 2. And I like what Cobra Disney Jedi said about those goons. Yeah, they did take care of them.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to episode 2.
All right. You want to go through every episode with
We don't have to go through every episode, but I figured with episode 1 and 2, I think it is important to at least go through those episodes and we can discuss what ended up happening in those episodes. And as you can see, the next episode was called Mole. And we get a flashback. We get a flashback of some Marines being trained by Sensei Kim, and they're being taught how to endure pain while pounding on sand. And we see a young Chosen, and young Chosen gets scolded by Sensei Kim because he actually has a bag underneath his sand for extra pounding.
Right.
And he essentially calls Chosen a coward for choosing to go that route instead of enduring the pain.
Right.
So we have this shot of young Chosen from back in the 70s, and now we get back to the present. where Terry Silver is being a snake. Are we surprised? I don't think we are. But he's brainwashing the kids, telling them what you can do. But he's also introducing the different sensos from the different dojos. And of course, one of them is Chosen. He confronts, let me try to get to it. He confronts Tori here, and he notices that Tori's conflicted. Tori has something on her mind. He can see that. She doesn't have to say anything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
Do you want to
Cobra,
pull this episode up on the screen, or I mean, it's up to you. If you want to just read
yeah,
it,
yeah.
that's fine.
I'm just trying to get to the right frame of the
Okay.
scene because I keep skipping over it.
Okay.
But Chosen knows. Chosen can sense it. And Cobra Disney Jedi says the sensei was a young Sato. Yep. So Chosen knows that Tori has something on her mind, but of course he doesn't press her on it, and Tori doesn't offer anything up. Then we come on. We get back to Robbie and Johnny back in Mexico because the van's been towed away. And Johnny's all, come on, I need that van. We're here from the States. And what do you mean they're taking it to an impound lot?
Yeah, he doesn't realize that his money is worth so much more in Mexico. It's very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Even some of the advice that Robbie tries to give him, it's foreign to him.
Right.
So here, it's the next day, and we're back at Hector Salazar's house, and he's speaking to Miguel, and he does say to Miguel, I feel like we're family. I feel like I've known you from someplace. Not not actually acknowledging that he's his biological son. Then we get back to the States where you see another scene between Chosen and Tori, and Chosen wants to see what Tori has to offer as far as her skills. And you see Tori, she's still conflicted. And why? Because of what she saw at the end of season 4 with the referee.
Right.
And Chosen wants to see Tori demonstrate her skills on this dummy. So and then of course Silver comes by and says, well, how are you guys doing? And Chosen basically tells Silver, oh, we are doing great. And I am very impressed with your students. So then we get back to Mexico because Johnny needs to get money to get the car back after it was impounded. So what's going on? I know why you're laughing, Cash, because I'm laughing too at what ends up happening is Robbie volunteers to go against another guy eating a ghost pepper.
Yep.
So the two, this guy and Robbie end up eating the ghost pepper to see who will last. And well, what ends up happening, let me try to get it because
But they don't even need to do this if I remember right, because Johnny already has the money.
Well, Johnny already has the money, but Johnny doesn't realize that
Right.
American money is worth more than he could actually get the car. But I just thought it was funny. This guy ends up eating the ghost pepper and Robbie wins, but I'll get to the part that really makes you laugh when you find out what actually happened. Of course, this is where Miguel makes contact with Carmen, letting his mom know that he's all right. Of course, she's concerned. She's saying, "Be careful. You don't know your father like I know your father."
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, back at the ghost pepper contest, Robbie is well, he's ready. He's using his training. This guy's ready and trying to get it. And well, long story short, Robbie puts the ghost pepper in his mouth, and so does this guy. And this guy loses. Robbie wins. They get the van back. And then back in the States, Terry Silver is saying, "Job well done to Chosen." And he ends up congratulating Tori on winning the tournament. Of course, Tori, still doesn't feel right. And she even says to Silver right here in this part of the episode, "You cheated." And Silver, he doesn't care.
No.
He did what was best for Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And then we get back to Johnny and Robbie, and Johnny says, "How did you win?" And let's see, yeah. Well, how did Robbie win? He took one of the gummy bears and used that as his ghost pepper. He still had the ghost pepper with him, but that's not what he put in his mouth. So Johnny's thrilled about it. Robbie's pretty pleased with himself. I mean, I'd be pleased with myself too if I was able to do something like that and get away with it. And this is where Carmen's letting Johnny know after Johnny calls her that she's heard from Miguel and that Miguel has found Hector. And this is where Miguel's being introduced to some of the locals.
Mm-hmm.
And ladies and gentlemen, we got a fight club here. We got a fight club going on here, and it's actually run by Hector. That's how he's made all his money and gained his power in this part of Mexico. And he does get suspicious of Miguel at one point, thinking that Miguel is working for the feds. Meanwhile, back in the States, Daniel is trying to prepare Chosen for his dinner with Terry Silver at Terry Silver's house and says, "You don't know Silver like I know Silver. He will try to wine and dine you and sweet talk you into coming to his side. Don't fall for any of his tricks." And Chosen says, "Don't worry about me, Daniel's son. I have everything under control." And then, of course, we get the Tori. She's looking at her All Valley trophy and she's conflicted because she knows she didn't actually earn it. And she Chosen again, and then Chosen arrives at Terry Silver's place, and they end up drinking a fine bottle of sake. And we're told the story of how whiskey came to Japan, and they salute each other. They have a toast, and one of the things Chosen does ask is, "What are your plans for Cobra Kai?" And Terry Silver says, "I would be more inclined to tell that to someone who is my right hand." He's not willing to give up any of his secrets, show any of his cards just yet. He wants Chosen to pick his side and come join him on the journey. Of course, Chosen says, "Thank you, but I don't think I can do it right now." Meanwhile, back in Mexico, we meet back up with the FBI, Robbie and Johnny. Now, I didn't mention in episode 1, but they got these shirts at the convenience store in episode 1. And yes, it says FBI on the front, but on the back it says full body inspectors. But Johnny and Robbie walk in, and of course, they start asking around for Hector Salazar, and they're not getting any answers. And then one of the guys actually goes into the locker room. He calls Hector on his cell phone and says, "The feds are here." And that's when Hector goes to Miguel and says, "Are you working for the feds? Are you a mole? Are you a rat? You better not be working for the feds." Of course, Miguel does what he can to try to convince Hector that he's not working for the feds. And this is where Hector does say to him, "So you come to Mexico all alone?" You know, he's questioning. He's suspicious of Miguel. Miguel's new, and he's never seen Miguel before, and he's thinking everything's going to be wiped out from under me because of this damn kid. And then Hector asks to see Miguel's cell phone, and Miguel's cell phone has various pictures that Hector starts looking through, and then, of course, one of his men alerts him of the FBI, and Hector orders his men to go ahead and take care of the FBI. So it's mixed martial arts versus karate. And at first, things look like they might be going well for Johnny until he gets knocked on his ass. And of course, his shirt is ripped, and the MMA guy is all thrilled with himself, and he's ready to take down karate. But then Johnny is able to get the upper hand, and not bad for karate, right? Against MMA. Of course, even Johnny kind of rubs it in his face. And then we get back to Silver and Chosen, and Silver's showing his collection of various Japanese swords and going over how he obtained those swords and how he obtained his wealth. But he's still trying to convince Chosen on joining him at Cobra Kai. And he's going through a little bit of his history. And then we get back to Miguel and Hector, and they're hiding out. And this is where Miguel starts having second thoughts. Second thoughts on what has occurred, second thoughts on his father. His father isn't the man he had hoped he would be, especially finding out that his father is now hiding out in the store and is ready to kill anyone in sight because he does grab a gun while in this store. And of course, Hector is giving him his story, giving Miguel his story, and you can see there that Miguel, he's brokenhearted, and there's the gun that I mentioned. So Hector is willing to do what it takes to keep his power. And Miguel ends up leaving the store heartbroken. But don't worry, folks. He had to talk with Carmen. And as he's talking with Carmen and saying, "You were right, Mom. Dad's exactly what you said he was." And as he's having a talk with Carmen, Johnny and Robbie show up. Now, Cash, what did you think of this scene when Johnny and Robbie showed up when Miguel was at his lowest point?
Um, it's probably good that they did, because he really believed that his father, Miguel, believed that his father was actually a good person, and to see him, he's not. It would be devastated for anybody. Be very devastating.
Yeah. So we get a reunion of Johnny, Robbie, and Miguel. And Miguel does say to Carmen, "I'm coming home, Mom." And then we go back to the States where Terry Silver is saying, "Well, look who finally decided to show up. Our champion. And it's good to see you back." And of course, Chosen still posing as a mole. And this is where Terry has gotten wise to it of who Chosen really is. So he asks these other senseis who are at Cobra Kai to basically wear Chosen down. But of course, it doesn't go exactly as Terry Silver had put it on paper because Chosen ends up kicking each and one of their asses. Yep, you see one guy face down, then these other guys come after Chosen. Chosen takes care of them. Silver's not too happy. He's quite disappointed. And this is where Chosen says, "We're not done yet. We will see each other again." And Terry says, "Oh, I'm counting on it." So that's the end of that episode. So overall, Cash, what would you give this out of a rating of 1 through 10? You there, Cash?
Yeah, I'm here. I would probably still give it an 8.
I think
Um,
I would give this a 7.5.
it's not somewhere around there. Maybe I'll go a little bit lower than an 8, but yeah, it's still a pretty strong episode.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is overall, like I had said before, it's another solid season. This show. So
Yep. And just catching up the comments. They saying, okay, Cobra Disney Jedi. Because Cobra Disney Jedi said in real life, Daniel is 60 and William Zabka is 57. That's true. And let's see. Yeah, that's since I was a young Sato. Mm-hmm. And Cobra Disney Jedi also says, I hope Chosen trains Tori in season 6. So I hope we get a season 6.
Yep.
Yeah. And about Robbie getting that win after eating the quote unquote ghost pepper, it was a nice win for Robbie. And Cobra Disney Jedi also brings up the female body inspectors for the FBI shirts. And then Cobra says Chosen versus the Sensei's were a callback to Karate Kid 2 when he went against fellow students. Yeah. And see, that's another thing I like about the show. Not only when they show different clips from the 3 movies, but when they do different callbacks to the movies, they do it in an appropriate time where it makes sense to the story. So that's it for episode 3, or episode 2, sorry. Now, Playing with Fire. Playing with Fire actually deals with Sam still trying to overcome what happened at the All Valley tournament. And of course, we also have another interaction between Terry Silver and Daniel. I'll go ahead and bring that up on the screen. Probably not going to show every scene from here on out, but I'll try to show relevant scenes to what went on in the episode. And this is where they're at a club and Terry Silver's there, and Daniel doesn't realize that Terry Silver's a member. And of course, everybody who's there is trying to get drinks. Chosen, Daniel, and of course, Daniel's cousins, and we have a confrontation between Terry Silver and Daniel. And Daniel's not too happy that Silver is even there. But Silver's a paying member, so he can be there. And let's see. Lane Rose says there was a huge difference between Daniel 27 and the blonde girl at was 16. That's why they did not date in the movie. Yeah. But we do have a reunion between Carmen and Miguel, of course, Carmen, and Johnny. And this is where we get the first hint that, Johnny and Carmen may be expecting. Because Carmen says, I haven't had, you know, my thing. And it's very odd. Do you think you're pregnant? Do you have to pee on the stick? Y- And, we have that. So we get the first hint that there's going to be a new addition to Johnny and Carmen's life. Of course, then we have the scene where Daniel and Chosen come to Mike Barnes' furniture store because one of the things that they wanted to know in season two was who will Terry Silver try to recruit from his past to try to take control of the valley with Cobra Kai affiliates? Well, Mike Barnes. And then, of course, we get back to Carmen and Johnny, and they're looking for pregnancy tests. Well, the kits, and you know, Johnny's all nervous because he wasn't there for Robbie when Robbie was born, and he wants to do his best to be there for the new addition. And of course, this is where Sam is with some of her friends. I'll just call the one girl Moonbeam because she's into all that Zen stuff. But they're going to this spa where they go into these chambers with water and they're supposed to experience some kind of moment. Meanwhile, Miguel goes to a jewelry store with Dimitri and Hawk because Miguel wants to get something for Sam to signify his love for Sam. And they start looking at different things. Their woman at the counter ends up helping Miguel pick out the charm bracelet. Let me try to get to that part. Yeah, so that charm bracelet that Miguel is holding in his hand, keep note with that charm bracelet because something does happen with it later. Miguel ends up buying it. And then we go back to the furniture store, and Daniel's snooping around because he's still thinking that Mike Barnes is going to be working for Terry Silver. Mike Barnes is on the phone, and he's going over different details. He's saying, "Yeah, we'll cut them down," and then Daniel sneaks up behind, grabs his cell phone, and says, "You better stop what you're doing. You better stay away from all the kids around the valley. You sick son of a bitch!" And then, of course, there's a woman on the other end going, "What the hell's going on?" And Mike Barnes is trying to clear up the situation, and he actually does end up clearing up the situation with Daniel by saying, "Daniel, this is my furniture store. It belonged to my wife's father, and now I'm operating it with my wife, and this is how I make a living now, selling furniture." And Daniel feels like a fool, of course. Then we do get back to a scene with Johnny, trying to learn how to take care of a baby since he wasn't there for Robbie when Robbie was growing up. So he's looking up different videos on the internet. He's changing around his apartment. He's fumigating his apartment for bugs, getting new furniture. And of course, Mike Barnes is having a conversation with Daniel saying, this is my life now, and I really enjoy what I'm doing with this now. And then of course, Sam, oops, let me try to there we go. Sam is in that chamber with the water, and she's, having her visions. She sees her father, she sees Tori, and then she sees a reflection of herself, the dark side. So
Mm-hmm.
so she has her Dagobah moment.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And she even goes against herself. And then, of course, Moonbeam and the other girl. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on her name, but Moonbeam gets her out, and Sam's not too happy, and Sam wants to leave. And then we get back to Mike Barnes' furniture store, and of course, there's a complete misunderstanding between Mike Barnes and Chosen because Chosen thinks that Mike Barnes is gonna attack Daniel, especially if he's working for Silver. So Barnes and Chosen get into a fight. Daniel says, "No, stop, stop, stop. It's okay. It's all right. Everything's good." And then in this scene right here, this is where Chosen and says, "Yeah, I kind of sort of took out the guys that were working on the loading dock." And Mike Barnes is like, "Holy shit." So we have another scene back with Johnny and Miguel, and Johnny's, just trying to be there for Miguel, say, you know, "I'll do whatever I can for you." And then we have another scene back at the furniture store where Mike Barnes is being told what Terry Silver has done. And Mike Barnes is like, "Oh, holy crap. That ponytail bastard is going to do whatever he wants." And then, of course, back at Miyagi-Do, we have the breakup scene between Sam and Miguel. They end up calling off their relationship. And at the end of their conversation, where Sam and Miguel break up and decide they're not going to be in their relationship anymore, well, that very same charm, I'm trying to get to it. Miguel takes the charm out of the box and he drops it on the ground. Meanwhile, Carmen and Johnny are two lovebirds in love, especially with the fact that they're expecting a child. And Daniel's having his own moment here where he's wondering what the hell is he going to do, especially with Terry Silver there. And Terry Silver's seemingly knowing where Daniel is at all times. And I'm sorry I had the wrong episode up. And real quick, Cash will be right back. But overall, I didn't think this episode was bad at all. I thought it laid down more ground. I thought it caught us up on what happened with Mike Barnes after, Karate Kid 3. We get the story where he meets his father-in-law, and his father-in-law helps straighten him out, give him a new path in life. And we also see the building between Carmen and Johnny expecting a baby, and also the end of a relationship as far as romantically when it comes to Sam and Miguel. So I thought that was pretty good. And let's see. Cobra Disney Jedi says, "Terry, you're playing with fire." Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he also mentions Chosen and I am gasoline. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that happened at that club. And that was a great scene. And yeah, the fight between Chosen and Mike was pretty good, pretty well choreographed in my opinion. So, you know, overall, I would probably give this episode a solid 7 out of 10. And I'll wait for Cash to come back and he can give his thoughts on playing with fire. But overall, it was a pretty solid episode, one worth watching. And actually, when I watched it before today's stream, I was enjoying it even more than I did the last time. And Cash, what are your thoughts on playing with fire?
Just another solid episode. Just I love those kind of things with where we're seeing Tori and then we're seeing Sam, and Sam is thinking about like her evil side. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And of course, what would you rate this episode?
I mean, I'd probably give it I don't know, a 7.
Okay. So you and I are both in agreement when it comes to playing with fire. It is a solid 7, and that's pretty
Right.
good. Now with Downward Spiral, you know, I thought Downward Spiral had a lot of funny moments, especially dealing with Johnny when he becomes not only a DoorDash deliverer, but also, a Lyft Uber driver.
Mm-hmm.
When he picks up those two girls who are going to a party and he says, "Yeah, I'm looking for Michael," and the girl says, "It's Michaela." Whatever, get in.
Yeah, what was that from? Oh no, I mean I know that's from episode 3, but I'm trying to remember what
Episode
was
4,
that the Oh yes, right.
when Johnny's doing the Lyft Uber thing, and he's also doing
Oh
DoorDash,
yeah. Oh yeah.
and how at one point he delivers some fast food to a lady, and the lady says, "It's cold." Johnny says, "Go ahead and eat the burger. I've done it a bunch of times."
That's not it's not very good service at all.
No, and speaking of Johnny's service, how everybody's rating him at a 1 star,
Yeah.
and one of the customers says it smells like beer, and he says, "Because there is beer, asshole." So,
Oh man.
as far as that part of the episode, I really enjoyed the Johnny parts of this episode. Now, the other parts of the episode is you have Daniel and Amanda going to that auction, and it happens to be at Terry Silver's place. And what ends up happening is Terry Silver and Daniel do have a confrontation, and they actually do get into a little bit of a scuffle where at one point Daniel is giving some bonsai trees for this auction that's going on, and Terry Silver ends up winning those bonsai trees. And Daniel says to him, "Take care of those bonsai trees. They mean a lot." And Terry
Mhm.
says, "Maybe I'll just use them for mulch."
Yeah, that's messed up.
And that ticks off Daniel. So
Mhm.
they get into a little bit of a scuffle, and of course Terry is feigning
Mhm.
injury,
Yes.
and it upsets Amanda because one of the women there at this auction is you know high up there person that Amanda's trying to get to know and smooth with,
Mhm.
and Amanda's upset. And while that's happening at the auction, and Johnny's doing his, Uber and DoorDash gig, the kids are at a water park. And you had the Cobra Kai kids there, you have the Miyagi Do kids there, and Anthony's there, of course. And Anthony is just looking to have a nice time, but of course he runs into Kenny. Kenny and the Cobra Kai gang, Kyler Park, and a few others. And Anthony ends up getting, well, embarrassed at the water park. One of the things that ends up happening to Anthony is they put inner tubes around him and kick him into the water.
Right.
Uh,
Oh yeah, that's
mhm.
Mhm.
And while that's going on, Miguel and Sam are actually, just making small talk. Sam's reading a book, and they're talking about various parts of the book. They're not exactly getting together because originally what Sam wanted was just a girls' day out at the water park, not knowing that the boys were coming. And what also ends up happening at the water park is they're fighting over which side of the water park each side gets to stay on. So they decide to go down a water slide in an inner tube. It's Hawk and Tori against each other, and you have Kenny handing out the inner tubes. But what Hawk doesn't realize until he gets onto the water slide on his inner tube is that there's a hole in the inner tube and it's losing air. And Tori ends up winning. There's a fight, and the kids end up getting kicked out. And after the fight at the auction with Daniel and Silver, well, let's just say that Amanda tells Daniel that she's taking the kids and they're going out of town. Amanda is sick of all this Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do nonsense, and she needs a break. She needs life to go back to some sort of normalcy. So she takes the kids and they head out to Ohio. And Cobra Disney Jedi, yeah, Johnny loves Billy Eilish is a rebel yell. Yeah, when it comes to the girl Michaela and her friend says, "Yeah, could you just play some Billie Eilish?" And Johnny's all, "Oh, Billie Eilish, I love Billie Eilish." Well, he opens up the glove compartment and pulls out a Billy Idol cassette and puts that in. And then, it's also funny when you have the business guy in there trying to make a deal, and he gets disgusted because Johnny's actually peeing in a beer can. And then there's one guy that's getting on Johnny's nerves as he's driving, and he says, "You just missed that stop sign. That was my stop." And Johnny gets so annoyed where he slams on the brake, and the guy's head goes forward, hits the passenger seat, and Johnny says, "Get out." So, in other words, Johnny, in another way, told the guy, "Go ahead." So, Cash, what did you think of episode 4, Downward Spiral?
It's just another solid episode. I guess I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
All right. I would probably, okay, I know I'm going to get some boos. I'm going to give it a 6.9.
Okay.
I don't think it needed to focus so much on Terry Silver and Daniel in this part of the episode. I think it was right for it to focus on the kids and what's going on with the kids from Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do.
Okay.
And the main reason why it gets a 6.9 from me is the Johnny scenes as the Uber and DoorDash driver.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I do want to say hello to Dempsey. How are you doing? He says, "Can't stay. Just wanted to drop a like and show some support." Well, I appreciate that, my friend.
Hello, Dempsey.
And he says, "I wish you all luck and fortune." Well, thank you. Much appreciated. All right. So, moving on to our next episode, Extreme Measures.
So we've decided that we're going to go through all the episodes then, or
we don't have to. If you don't want to go through all the episodes, that's fine. And if you want to,
well, I mean, if that's what you want to do, I guess it's fine. It's just I know at first you didn't want to, so
I know, but you know how these things go. Sometimes as we go along, our minds change again. But
yes.
Anyways, let's just say in Extreme Measures, tensions are at a high. Tensions are at a high between Miguel and Robbie. They're at a high between Terry Silver and Daniel. And of course, what ends up happening to Mike Barnes' furniture store, thanks to Terry Silver. The furniture store gets burned down while Sam, Anthony, and Amanda are in Ohio. They do see Jessica. Let me at least show those scenes. And here, let me try to get to it. Well, while they're in Ohio, they are inside this restaurant. Let me just try to close Discord here because it's preventing me from sharing the screen. There we go. But while they're in Ohio, of course, we see Jessica again, played by the same actress. But they have a mean girl encounter. Uh, person from Amanda's past says Amanda Steiner, and we find out about a little bit of their history and the fact that these girls don't like each other, never have. And of course, at one point, you have Amanda and Jessica talking about Terry Silver being back, and of course, you have the Mean Girls. Let me try to get a good shot of the Mean Girls. All right. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. Nope. Nope. Not there. Oh, here we go. Well, we get the Mean Girls in the bar. Long story short, you know, Amanda and the kids are just trying to have a nice night out with Jesse, and the Mean Girls show up and they start giving Amanda a hard time. And you have this one right here. We'll just call her Queen Bitch. Well, she tries to instigate a fight, and the other girls end up holding Amanda and restraining her. And then Sam comes to save the day. And while that's happening in Ohio, you have Johnny trying to have an intervention between both Robbie and Miguel. And he invites Robbie and Miguel over to his place. And what ends up happening is Johnny ends up tricking both of them because he's trying to get the two of them to get along. And that's, where things, get out of hand. Both of them end up leaving the apartment. And Johnny's just frustrated with himself. And then Daniel shows up after he has a conversation with Chosen. And, Daniel is, speaking with Chosen. And Chosen says, You were up late. And Daniel says, I slept late. And of course, Daniel's having a hard time with Amanda and the kids being out of town. Chosen's trying to give him some sage advice. Daniel eventually shows up at Johnny's place, and Daniel's at his lowest. And Daniel really wants Johnny to be that strike first badass and go after Terry Silver. And this time, Johnny is trying to talk some sense into Daniel instead of Daniel trying to talk some sense into Johnny. And I do want to say hello to Kathy Skywalker. Hello, Kathy Skywalker.
Hello.
And of course, another thing that happens in this episode is Daniel, before going to Johnny's place, he actually finds out about Stingray. Now, what ends up happening with Stingray in this episode is Stingray is welcomed back with open arms into Cobra Kai. And he's given Johnny's old Cobra Kai mobile, a new gi, and he's also being put into this apartment complex or condominium complex, and it's all on Terry Silver. And Daniel actually wants to know what's going on because Daniel received a newspaper clipping in his mailbox. And on this newspaper clipping, let me go ahead and try to find it here on Netflix if I can. Trying to find it. There we go. Anyways, Daniel is confronting Stingray because of this newspaper clipping. And it's talking about how Kreese was sentenced to jail and how Kreese was found guilty. And as you can see here in red marker, it says liar. So Daniel's confronting Stingray about that. Stingray says, I don't know what you're talking about. Whereas he ends up knocking himself down and, well, tripping himself and breaking his PlayStation. And of course, Chosen's upset with Daniel because Daniel isn't acting like himself. And Chosen's even trying to tell Daniel, you need to simmer down. You need to, you know, come off your alcohol high and listen to reason. So we have that happen. And then in the episode, well, we get the scene where this clip comes from. This clip right here. Yes. Robbie and Miguel end up going at it to settle down, you know, their their angst, their anger toward one another. And I'm sorry for not having the right episode title up there. That's my fault. But Robbie and Miguel are able to fight it out, and that's where Johnny lets it slip that Carmen is pregnant and she is expecting. And of course, another thing that happens in this episode is we get a few plugs for Olive Garden. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that happens sometimes in these shows.
That's right. If you had a craving for Olive Garden and you watch this show, well, that's why. So we have this nice scene near the end of the episode where Carmen comes home and she's actually surprised to see both Miguel and Robbie eating dinner together. And Robbie even says to Carmen, I hope you don't mind me being here. And Carmen says, you're welcome here anytime. And I'm laughing. And the reason why I'm laughing is Carmen sees the bruises on the boys' faces and on their bodies, what she can see. And she says to Johnny, please tell me that that wasn't part of your regimen of getting these two to work together. And Johnny says, they had to work it out amongst each other. So we have that. And then we have the last scene of the episode where it's a fight between Silver and Daniel. And let's just say Daniel gets his butt whipped. Daniel gets his butt whipped, and that's how the episode leads off. Of course, it does have flashbacks to Karate Kid 3 with some scenes, and you see Daniel with bloody knuckles, and Kreese just flaunting how well he's able to knock Daniel down. And of course, this is where he's taunting him after he's got him pinned to the ground with his foot, and he's proud of himself. He's proud of the fact that he's under Daniel's skin so much. And then we have the return of Kreese, Martin Cove. And he's telling Tori, you got to keep going through this. We are going to bring Silver down, although he doesn't know it yet.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of that, Cash? How Kreese, even in jail, is still pulling the strings?
I mean, it's good, man. I mean, we're at the point now where, the whole thing with Kreese and Tori, it makes sense, but it's like Kreese is just, but Kreese is still only out for Kreese.
Yeah.
He manipulates people too, just a different way than Silver does.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel, you're seeing Daniel become more like Johnny back in the past, the way his attitude is, breaking a person's PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
But Stingray is kind of a douche, so well, maybe more than kind of, but I don't know. You probably want to slap a Stingray up the side of the head. But yeah, the stuff that Tori needed some kind of guidance. Is Kreese the best person? Probably not. But it's all right. I just it's okay. I mean, I might get guidance from Kreese, but and Daniel it's a mess, man. But as we continue on, we're on episode 5 now. Things start getting crazier. Anthony
Mm-hmm.
gets attacked, and we're gonna find out that Silver thinks he has all the cards and he doesn't. People start getting attacked, and you think that something could have happened to Chosen, which would have been unfortunate. But the way this show usually works, it doesn't happen. The one thing I'm sure you can agree with, that it is funny when there's certain situations and karate just breaks out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I went to the water park and a karate match broke out.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever happened in real life, but oh, it's Stingray as Stinkray, right? Stinkray.
And don't forget, everyone, when we have the open mic portion, you're more than welcome to hop in and give your thoughts on this past season of Cobra Kai.
Do you want to continue down with the rest of the episodes, or do you
No,
want
no,
to
no.
finish on with
Let's finish with episode 5, because I want to be able to allow people to come in. I don't want this to drag on too long.
Yeah, I understand.
But basically, what ends up happening in the next few episodes is more dojos are taking over. Cobra Kai is expanding even larger. Sensei Kim and her teachers are brought in from Korea, and she starts enforcing the rule that she learned from her grandfather and his skills, and she starts testing Tori. Tori becomes her guinea pig, but also Devin is also tasked. Devin Kim, who was actually at Topanga Karate, and she's a little hesitant to join Cobra Kai because of Tori and what Cobra Kai stands for, but she ultimately does, because one of the sweetening of the deal from Silver is when he comes to Topanga Karate and tells the sensei who's there that he's taken over, and of course the sensei is a little disgusted because that wasn't part of their deal, but Silver doesn't care. He says if you want to join Cobra Kai Karate, take a gi, and if you don't want to join, take a thermos. And here I'm sitting as I'm watching that episode, Cash, going, what? Why can't I have both? I want both. I want the gi and the thermos. Call me greedy, but that's what I want.
The gi and the thermos.
Yes, yes.
I'm trying to picture exactly what you're talking about.
I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up.
Okay.
Give me a second for the episode to load, and then I'll get to that part. Let's see. It's not there. Hold on. I might have gone too far ahead. That's where Kim is talking. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let this scene play out just a little bit, just so I can try to get to where. Here we go. Here we go. Here's part of it. But this is where Topanga Karate is being taken over, and of course, if you don't want to join Cobra Kai, well, there's a nice thermos for you, nice water bottle.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that is a nice water bottle.
And if you do want to join, well, there's the key. Well, I want both.
Yeah.
I want to join. I want to be full-fledged Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
So, you know, going through this episode, because I'm not going to show any more scenes from here on out, but going through this episode, we do have a scene with Kreese in jail, and he's going through a therapy session. And, this actually carries on for the remaining episodes of the season, where while John Kreese is in these therapy sessions, he starts seeing different people. He also interacts with different people, and what they end up doing is when John Kreese is having one of his therapy sessions, is they keep switching the scene where you see a young Johnny, you see Tori, you see Daniel, and you see his former sergeant. But also when John Kreese is basically being told this is how things work here, and you're gonna fall in line. It The camera, the way it passes over the shoulder of one of the inmates and reveals the young John Kreese, because that's who John Kreese is basically trying to focus on and you know harness the power of, if you want to put it that way. Well, John Kreese ends up kicking this inmate's ass, and this inmate
Yes.
is basically told, "You're gonna be my bitch. You're gonna get me my Jello. I'm no longer gonna give you the Jello that you want. That is mine. Your Jello is now mine, and you're gonna listen to me." And the guy says, "Yes," and Kreese says, "Yes, what? Yes, Sensei." So now Kreese is the top dog in the yard. And Cobra Disney Jedi says, "I also have to put my Cobra Kai gi on." Exactly. We all know what we like. So overall, in the episode, I'm probably gonna mispronounce this, Ouroboros, but overall, I really liked the episode because of what it ended up dealing with, especially when it came to John Kreese and him adjusting to life in prison, and you know first being at the bottom of the peg and then rising to the top because he starts a fight. And it shows that Kreese is still in control no matter where he's at. And then there's also a touching scene in this episode where Daniel's still recovering from his injuries after his fight with Silver, and it's back at Mr. Miyagi's house, Miyagi-Do karate, and he goes into Mr. Miyagi's room because of Amanda, and she starts telling him the story about how the night they were gonna get married, that Mr. Miyagi gave her some sage advice, and it was advice about Daniel, and she uses it as a way to tell Daniel, "You got to get back on your feet. You got to overcome these obstacles that you're facing." And she also lets Daniel know, because you see Johnny, and I'll go ahead and bring it up here, but you see Johnny, you see Chosen, and the kids. They're all there to support Daniel. They're all in this fight together.
Yes.
And I do want to say,
What the heck, dude? Come on. Did you already watch Caddyshack 1? Hmm.
We're missing out.
Holding
We're,
you hostage. You don't have to join the.
we're missing out. All right, Youngin. I'm gonna one thing to say to you.
That's right. Seriously, dude.
And Paul is holding us hostage with Caddyshack 2. Yeah, I'm crit. I'm sorry, but yeah, I've got a response for that, and that response is,
How about no?
You guys can go suffer through that. Have fun. Half the main cast of the first one is missing. So
yeah,
dude,
even the best part of the first movie. He
there's
got
no
no
Ted
respect.
Knight in Caddyshack 2 because some of those actors knew exactly. They knew exactly we don't want to be part of this.
Right.
We just Are you sure? I don't buy it. I didn't see anything
I don't
about
buy it
that
either.
earlier. Nope.
Save Crit. He does not want to watch the second one. If you guys stick around, because we're getting there. If you guys stick around to the open portion where everybody can come on and give their thoughts on season 5 of Cobra Kai, then please stick around. Otherwise, I don't want to hear your complaints about watching Caddyshack 2. You're doing it to yourself.
That's right, man. Gosh, dude.
So again, you guys, you could give yourself as much
Emotional damage
as you want.
Exactly. Seriously, you guys keep watching bad movies. It's okay, man. I've seen Mike and I'm sure I can speak for Mike on this. We've seen a number of bad movies, even in the theaters. We're like, oh, this is going to be good, and this movie sucks. Look, yes, I will admit that I watched Lightyear before Maverick, and that was probably not the best idea, but I still watch Maverick in the theaters.
Yep, and I could say that I really wish I'd never went and saw Problem Child 2.
Right, exactly. A lot of sequels are just bad. They're just bad. But I will always defend movies like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I don't care. Yeah. Yes, I did, Nerdporial. I'm going to hunt you down. Nerdporial just shows up. Yes, Nerdporial.
We're not going to just come over and watch Caddyshack 2.
No.
Phil. You are in my dojo now, Phil.
You guys
will be quiet.
You don't have to watch Caddyshack 2. There is no gun to your head, or there's no kind of weapon to your head. You don't have to do it.
You have done this to yourself. Oh gosh, Nerdporial.
Yes, I know that's the agreement, but did you guys actually watch Caddyshack 1 even though I wasn't there? It's okay. I've seen Caddyshack, the first one, so many times.
I have
a very underrated film.
I have the original Caddyshack on physical media and on digital, so I can watch it anytime I want. I try to watch it every year.
Yeah.
How do you think I got this clip right here, huh? How do you think I got this clip right here?
Well, we're waiting.
Okay. Oh, so now look. So now Paul is learning how to troll. Oh yeah. Well, here, Paul. We have a troll for you. Stop playing games on easy. Yes. Stop doing it. It's weak. That's not even a troll. It's just weak.
I'll tell you what. I was Cash. If you're okay with this, you have a say. I could open up the stream right now. We can discuss this entire season to save some of our friends.
Dude, and by the way, Nerdporial, you freaking nutcase. You know we would watch stuff with you, you nut. I'm happy to watch stuff with you and review things with you. We all are still in this community as far as I know, and we review stuff. So you're not missing much, man. You're not missing much.
So, Cash, would you be okay if I went ahead and opened it up to try to save some friends? Friends don't let friends watch Caddyshack 2.
That's right. Or Conan the
Or Conan the
Conan the
Destroyer.
Destroyer, man.
All right, coming to the dojo.
Yeah, coming
Let's
to
talk
the dojo if you
Cobra
want to
Kai
talk about
season
Cobra
5.
Kai. Yes.
And even if you haven't seen season 5 and you want to talk about the other seasons, I'll
Yeah.
permit that.
True. Yeah, that's fine. You've been watch parties of what? Just movies in general, man? Yeah, I've noticed you've been doing some watch parties, but what have you been watching? Just random movies? I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. You know, what
It's
movies
good
have
to
you
see
been
you more
watching?
active in your Discord, dude. Like it is. Like I know you've been, around or busy or whatever, but yeah, dude, people are always around to talk about stuff. We have a pretty big community, and people jump from one channel to another, which is
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yes, it should be.
Yes, we should focus on our own content, but we shouldn't be afraid to hop on another channel if we're invited to hop on another channel. One thing I won't do is I won't say, send me a link, send me a link, send me a link. No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, Cash, I see you're live. Send me a link. Hey, Cash, why didn't you send me a link last night? What the heck, man?
Yeah.
I think I've scared them all away. Nobody's joining the dojo. What?
Oh my
You don't want to
gosh.
be part of Pacific 414 karate?
I know, right?
Cowards.
Come on. Yep.
Bunch of cowards. Yeah, I might throw a baseball at you to test your reflexes. And if you start crying after getting hit, I'll just tell you to walk it off.
It's gonna be like, can you dodge? If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Mm-hmm. And we do have 2 new members of Pacific 414 Karate. Please welcome Cobra Disney Jedi and the Nerd Royal Life Form.
Oh, he's here again. How you doing, Brian?
Good, Mr. Money. How you doing?
Pretty good, dude.
I wanted to answer your question. I don't know if you noticed, but I've been doing a series of streams during the Halloween season. Mike was a guest on one of them. So,
well, I guess I need to join you or something soon, dude. We haven't done when was the last time we talked? Was it Shadows of the Empire? I don't know, something like that. Maybe no. It was Better Call Saul, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I covered every episode in after show.
Nice.
Did you know that?
Yep.
Did you know that?
Yes, I did. Actually,
yeah. I was rewatching. I was rewatching some of those streams. Yeah, I was.
Nice.
Man, I think I lost some fat on the face since then. So, yeah.
No.
But yeah, this Cobra Kai season was great.
Oh yeah,
it was really good, man. I just love how with this show, everything ties in. It's great.
I'm just like I asked me and Mike talked about this before I think before last season came out or right after last season came out. Do you guys think that Mr. Kreese is on a redemption arc, or do you think they're just gonna make him
no,
so? Dude, I don't think he can have redemption. This can't be a thing like Gordon Gekko. Did you ever see Money Never Sleeps? Where they just thought it was where Oliver Stone thought it was a good idea to give him redemption. It was a horrible idea in that movie, dude. The movie was good until the end. I don't know. Did you watch that one?
No, I haven't even seen Wall Street, to be honest.
Oh,
so
you should.
There's still a lot of movies I have to see. So
if you watch that, I'll watch it with you if you want to watch that, dude. It's a very good
I
film.
mean, I want to do
Very
a
good
movie.
man.
Yeah, I do want to start, because now horror season's over with. I want to do a
Mhm.
a regular weekly, hopefully a weekly thing. So
What did you end up watching for horror? What were some of the stuff you watch?
well, because Mike joined me on one of the streams. What has Mike been famously covering horror related? He's been covering Chucky.
Chucky.
So I figured since he covered Chucky, I think the logical assumption or the logical choice I should ask him to do with me would be Child's Play, because Child's Play was a good movie, and it had a few Trek actors. So I thought Mike was the perfect fit for it. Right, Mike? Don't you think you were the perfect fit for it? I know you do.
Of course I was. And a little spoiler, I did watch more recent episode of Chucky that aired last night, and it was a little better, but that's not saying much.
Yeah. No.
I'll go into detail when I record my video of what I didn't like about the episode.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff I haven't watched either, Brian. So there's still a ton of films, man, even classic movies that I have never watched. So, but if you haven't seen stuff like North by Northwest, I would highly recommend that. That is an incredible film. Bullet is really good. Oh, he must be testing something.
No. He lost his mic, so
Yeah.
he can't hear anything that we're saying.
Yeah.
So, Cobra,
good to see you again, Cobra. You doing
Hey, how's
all
it
right?
going? I'm good. I'm good.
Are you actually good? You better be good, or I'm going to come over there. We're going to do some karate. So
Okay, bring it on. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Now.
So, what were your thoughts on this past season, Cobra?
Oh, it was great. I loved everybody's arcs in the as the season went on. I loved everything about what Chosen did. The resolution between the kids, especially with Miguel and Robbie, that was good. And then eventually, Sam and Tori, even though they might still not like each other, they at least respect each other, and at least they can get along. So that'd be interesting to see if that can continue down the road. But just everything about Terry Silver did was just great. We thought Kreese was bad, but Silver is on a whole different level.
Yes.
I think Kreese. I still think Kreese is kind of on a redemption arc. I like to see him do something like do something for Johnny ultimately. That's what I'm thinking the show's going. I don't think he's going to go full villain.
Well, that's another thing that we see at the end of episode 10. He's able to get out of prison.
Yeah. Honestly, though, like I think what he wants the most, what Kreese wants the most, is to kind of, even though he's screwed up several times, I think he really wants to have, I think he really wants to mend things with Johnny. Yeah. And I think what he did in season 2 was genuine when he did when he put back together the trophy that he broke in Karate Kid 2, and but like once again, like people, he's flawed, and he just wanted to, he let his ego take over, and that's when he decided to kind of hijack Cobra Kai. So, but like I like to think that there's some sort of redemption, and because I don't know, I like the character. I mean, I don't think he's evil.
Probably not, but I don't know. I don't know if he will.
Evil.
After Daniel and Johnny screwed him over, when they visited him in prison, I think he's gonna get some payback.
Yeah, maybe, perhaps. I mean, I like how they left the note. Or what was like "fuck you" or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No mercy,
bitch, or something. But I still want to think that he's on a redemption arc. I don't know why. I don't know. It's just I don't know. It pay off for me if it happened.
And now get to episode 7, Bad Eggs. The lesson that Chosen teaches the kids about protecting their eggs. What do you think about that?
That was cool. It was so cool. Like you didn't know what Chosen was going to do, based on our experience with part 2 and everything. So it was cool seeing. It was really cool seeing him train the kids. So it's like, is he gonna stab one of them? That was what I was thinking when I was watching. It's like, is something bad gonna happen?
Is one of the
Especially
kids
that
going to
one
get
kid that fell
injured
out
in
of
the
the tree.
training? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the kid that fell out of the tree. Of course, you had Penis Breath. That's the kids called him, who was cradling his egg and trying to protect it that way. And
Is Penis Breath the one that defected? Right? There was
yes,
Penis
yes,
Breath.
yes.
And what was he?
Mhm.
What was his buddy's name? I forget.
Chris.
Chris. Okay. Yeah, I like how Penis Breath defects and then he defects and then he defects. It's just like, this guy's, come on, like just go away at this point. So.
Yeah, it's like wrestling where a guy starts off as a good guy, then he turns to a heel, then he goes
yeah.
back to being a face again, and back
But
to a heel.
If I remember correctly, the reason why he got kicked out of Cobra Kai is because what's his name? What's it? Kyler, the one
Yeah.
Asian bully
Yeah.
dude, beat him because he was a wrestler and everything. He was able to take him down without, was able to take him down right away, even though he
Yeah.
didn't have any martial arts training. And then I like how I think it was Kreese was like, okay, you're out of here. You're out, like an umpire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, umpire, to be honest. Umpire, I mean.
Well, speaking of, Kyler Park, how he was using Kenny and Bad Egg as basically his guinea pig. You take all the hits, and I'll just tell you what to do, and just sit back and watch and laugh. And how it got under Kenny's skin, and he was ready to leave, and then Silver calls him into his office and says, "What do you want to be, a leader or a follower?"
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And speaking of Kenny, what do you guys think of his character development from season 4 into this season?
It was sort of similar to what Hawk did, with his transition between being a geek, learning karate, and then being dark, like in season 2 and 3. I mean, I think that was kind of the similar pattern that Kenny was going. He was this picked on kid, new kid. He was made fun of and then it's like Robbie takes him under his wing to train him, and then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose with his character.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we have the Sekai Taikai in episode 8, and how Cobra Kai is trying to present themselves as the be-all, end-all dojo in all the valley, and then the representatives of the Sekai Taikai find out about Eagle Fane and Miyagi-Do.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, they all competed for, they competed in front of the judges. I think it's Sekai Takai is Japanese, but I think he was German. I think the spokesperson was German or something, or from Europe. So ultimately what I believe happened was they were impressed with all three disciplines. And so all three, I think, have qualified to enter the Sekai Takai. And I believe that's one of, besides that and Kreese escaping, those are pretty much the only two plot threads that would lead into a 6th season, which I don't believe they announced, right?
They haven't done anything yet. No, nothing.
Because I know the guys are working on a Ferris Bueller series or something.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on a Ferris Bueller series, I think, that takes place within the movie.
Yeah, they have some project line that they're working on right now, so they want to get that finished before they get into doing season 6.
Yeah, so I'm thinking season 6 would be the final season.
It wouldn't surprise me,
because it seems like they really wrapped up a lot in this past season. So I'm curious if you think that the people from Cobra Kai are going to kind of join either Miyagi-Do or Eagle Fang at this point, since Cobra Kai is kind of more or less done. Like they all threw their gis down. Well, once Silver was exposed at the end. I love that battle. I love that battle. The battle at Cobra Kai. That's what I call it. Yeah, it's just like it was pretty cool. I loved how it was Daniel's arc fighting Silver throughout the season, whereas like Johnny was kind of away from the thick of it. He was more or less concerned with Miguel. I was surprised Miguel's arc only lasted 2 episodes. I thought his arc would have been like the whole season.
That's what I was thinking too, especially the way it looked at the end of last season when he was getting off the bus.
I like how it was like he's in Mexico, but yet he's accosted by Australians. Those wacky, menacing Australians. Like seriously. Like if you met me an Australian on the beach, run for your life, or hide your wallet.
Hide your wallet. Make sure you don't, let your backpack out of your sight. And of course, Sensei Kim. What do you guys think of her and her impact?
Which one was she?
I'll bring her up on screen. Let me try to get a good screenshot here.
Was she like the granddaughter of?
Yeah, the granddaughter. She's Kim Dong.
Dude, she was awesome. She was a great.
Yeah, she was great.
She was a great second villain.
So it wouldn't surprise me if she becomes like a antagonist when there's a season 6.
You know who she reminded me of? She reminded me of Lucy Liu in Kill Bill. Remember her character in Kill Bill? I kind of got that similar vibe from her.
Yeah, me too.
I was expecting her to cut someone's effing head off, if they revealed her Chinese ancestry or something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even though Silver is now in jail and Kreese is out, but he's loose, Sensei Kim could take over Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah.
And make it her own and make it a threat where maybe Johnny and Daniel have to find Kreese and get his help.
Well, here's the thing. It's like when Terry Silver brought Kim and her senseis, she asked where was Kreese, and you could see the disappointment on her face because I think she likes Kreese better than she liked Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much self-evident at this point. I liked how when they first encountered her and her I don't know if you'd say posse, but her goons. I like how it took Johnny and Chosen a lot of effort to be able to beat just one of them, and then after that they kind of depowered the rest of them. Did you guys notice that? They kind of depowered them. I was just like, really? I was like, because I was getting excited. And then they depowered them after that. I was just like, oh, that was one of the few gripes I had with this season.
Yeah, because they should have been powerful from the moment we saw them on screen all the way up until episode 10 when you had that fight at Terry Silver's house where Mike Barnes, Johnny, and Chosen show up.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike Barnes is knocked out right away. I was another issue I had with this season was how Mike was, I feel, underutilized. I don't know if he was like
he was wasted.
He
was wasted.
But I think it was an afterthought that fans, really wanted him to come back, and they just kind of brought him in for like maybe a scene or two.
I think they would have had him more on the show, but I think he had the actor, Sean Kanan. He had other obligations he had to take care of, so
he does.
He was limited in what he could do.
He's usually on a soap opera, actually. So,
yeah, he is.
No, I mean, he's got the look. I mean, he's got the full. I mean, even though he's like he's in his late 50s now. He's got the full.
I think he's in his mid.
He's 57.
He's 57.
He's 57 yesterday.
He's still jacked, and he's still. I think he's practiced. He's a martial artist in real life, right?
Yeah. Is he? He could be.
I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
But like he looks like a guy in a soap opera. Like he's got the look, so I can't blame him.
I know that the guy that plays Bobby in Karate Kid and on Cobra Kai, he's a real life martial artist.
Oh, was Bobby the one that? Oh, the priest. Bobby's the priest, right?
Yeah.
So which one was the one that? Which one? I forget the name of the one that the one that passed away. The body bag. Member, I forget his name.
Let's see. Oh boy, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But yeah, his name was Tommy in the character.
I liked how his character
Rob Garrison
in the show
is his name.
Okay, I liked how his character dies in the show, and they show him being put in a body bag. It was, season 2. I thought that was like, oh my god.
Yeah, well, he died in real life.
I know.
Yeah.
I like he was
Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't
It was like
realize
6
he was-
months after the release of that season.
Yeah.
He actually had cancer and stuff. I remember Black Dragon was talking about that. I didn't even know that. That was a pretty interesting story actually.
It's really interesting how they incorporated that into the show and just like they made the character, dying in real life of, I think, cancer too, I believe.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. Yeah.
So, in episode 10, Daniel, Amanda, Carmen, and Johnny and Chosen all go to the club thanks to Daniel's cousin.
Yep.
And, when they end up leaving the club and Carmen and Amanda go back to the LaRusso's homestead, who do you think took the Humvee limo at first? Do you think it was Mike Barnes, or did you think it was someone else?
I thought it was someone of Terry Silver. I really thought that was what happened.
Yeah, I agree. I was surprised it was Mike Barnes all along, to be honest. I was like, when is he gonna come back? I was like, we're at episode 9. I think it was the end of episode 9 or beginning of episode 10. I'm like, when is he coming back?
Yeah.
So,
and your guys' overall thoughts on Stingray in this season?
Yeah. I mean, he's all right. It's just he's just goofy. I mean, this show does get a little goofy. Obviously, that's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt.
I never really cared for his character.
No.
I mean, he did kind of redeem himself toward the end of the season, but still.
what are you guys talking about? Stingray's a freaking legend.
Stingray.
Stingray.
Stingray's a freaking legend. He had that awesome little thing at the end of during the battle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, like I said, he did redeem himself a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You have someone like Silver threatening you and beating the crap out of you. I mean,
yeah,
I'd be scared too. He's a villain. He's rich. He's got the ponytail. He's bad news.
Yes. Yep.
He's an 80s villain. You don't mess with 80s villains.
I like that. Yeah. It's probably true.
Yep. And if you guys had to give this season an overall rating, not just, an episode by episode rating, but overall for the season rating, what would you give it?
I think I'd give it an 8.8 out of 10. I mean, with the issues I mentioned aside and everything, I mean, I thought this was a great season. I marathoned the hell out of this. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed streaming my reaction. I enjoyed streaming this and everything. It was fun to talk about. And I hope they do a season 6 if it gets green lit. It's funny that this show and even the Orville have not been. It's been a while since the Orville. I think for 3 months now almost.
Yeah, 3 months.
The Orville has not been greenlit. As far as I'm concerned, that show is over.
Maybe it is.
That's how I feel about it too.
I mean,
I've said it to a few people.
Pretty much.
I don't think it's coming back.
Here's my thing. I mean, if they do more of the Orville, I really hope they can mend some of the stuff that they did in season 3. Like, I know a lot of people. I mean, I know a lot of people in science fiction, especially producers in Hollywood, like to promote a certain side of a political aisle and everything. I want them to show what they did at the end of season 2, or in the middle of at the end of season 2, where two different peoples of different ideologies came together and worked together to something. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see any more, parallels to a particular event or a particular time when people vote. And this whole thing, populism and everything. I'm just sick of hearing about that type of story. I want people to come together. I want differences to be mended, and like I want to. I mean, it's the Orville. I mean, they can do whatever they want, but it's. I want if you want that hopeful future, people have to work together, despite ideologies. There has to be some, middle ground.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the fact that they took that they decided to divide that again, and side with the Kalon. The Kalon were the existential threat, and all of a sudden they're now part of the Union, and all of a sudden they're part of the the forward thinking as opposed to the backwards thinking and everything. It's just I'm just like, stop, don't go down that. I was thinking, just don't go down that route. People hate that shit.
Well,
Yep.
after that, Quantum Core was destroyed. They had no reason to be allied with the Union anymore.
Yeah, I would have. I mean, like, just a single thing changed their mind. Like, seriously, after thousands of years, I don't believe that.
No,
It would take something way more drastic to change minds.
Mhm.
So
It was just
yeah.
all too easy, and
Yep.
I wasn't too happy about it when we did the after show together, and
I mean, it was a fun episode. I enjoyed what we saw, but like, just like how the decisions they made, I was just like, this is not the same as season 2.
no. And when it comes to Cobra Kai, I do question where can they go in season 6 if there's a season 6. Yes, Kim is still out there. She
question.
could team up with Kreese, like we were saying.
I think they're
But-
going to maybe focus on the Saikai Taikai tournament, and plus there's also the Johnny and Amanda could be getting married, or Carmen and Johnny could be getting married.
There's
Mhm.
definitely there would be an aftermath of everything that happened with Cobra Kai and how broken they are, and maybe even people like Anthony and Kenny can become actual friends. But who knows?
I hope to see that. I mean, maybe they'll join one of the other two, or maybe like you guys said, Kreese and forgot what was her name again?
Kim Daun.
Kim. Kreese and Kim reform Cobra Kai and bring everybody and try to bring people back with the help of, I don't think, what's her name? Tori's no longer with them, right? Tori is now part of, who is she with now? Is she with
She's with no one.
Miyagi-Do or
She might be on her own. She may have a story arc where she doesn't join a particular dojo. She doesn't want any part of it anymore.
Do you think? So do you think her story's done with then, or do you think she
Oh, no.
she has more? She has more to do in the future.
I think she has more to do in the future. I think, especially her and Robbie, their relationship, build more on that. Take that to different heights. I mean, after all, we only got a glimpse of her mother a few times, and her mother is critically ill with cancer. So
Yeah,
there
so
may
there's
be-
that
there may be
possibility
that
if her mom
possibility.
does die.
Where
Who's
she
gonna take
needs
them
some.
in?
Yeah, she needs Robbie to be her anchor.
Yeah,
She needs, the other members of Miyagi-Do to be her anchor. She needs Sam, of all people, to be her anchor.
so I forget. Do they still have the beefs, or did they squash them at the end of the season?
At the end of the season, it looked like both Tori and Sam had made amends. They weren't frenemies. They weren't enemies. It's like, okay, we've been through a lot of shit.
Yeah,
You're going through a lot of shit right now with your mom, and there's no use in fighting anymore.
that's kind of why I'm hoping the same for Johnny and Kreese at the very end. Like, I hope
Redemption
to see I hope
between
to
those
see
guys.
something, or amends, some sort of amends or something. Maybe Kreese will die or something for Johnny. Who
Maybe,
knows?
yeah, they might kill off a main character in this show.
What's funny is I heard that they were going to kill off a main character this season. I was like, who would they kill off? And I got scared for a moment, but then I don't think anybody died this season.
No.
So that was fake news.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
There's
But if any character is going to die, it's probably going to be Kreese.
Yeah.
Be a great way to redeem himself. But it has to be earned though.
Right.
Yeah, it does have to be earned. I mean, I guess you could kill off Chosen too.
Yeah, I was scared for Chosen. Like I
Yeah, me
swear,
too.
I
Yeah.
swear when he got slashed in the back with that sword,
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
oh,
like, oh, no.
shit.
Yeah.
Some of the
Oh,
some of
shit.
the other YouTubers that do Cobra Kai that I follow, they had that theory too that Chosen could sacrifice himself,
Right.
for the greater good, and
For Daniel. Yeah.
that could have happened. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that fight. I love that fight. He had the sai, and
Yes.
and Silver had the sword. I loved that that fight was awesome. Like,
That was
Yeah,
well
it was
choreographed.
yes, it was.
Yeah.
I thought like I was watching I thought I was watching Asian cinema or
Mhm.
something like from the 80s. It was awesome. It was just like it wasn't cut, like typical, modern movies are now. I'm just like,
Right.
thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you watch that fight from start to finish, and you think Chosen has Terry dead to rights, and then Silver sees his opportunity, and like a snake, he does strike.
Yeah. And it's funny that what's funny was I was like, is he gonna? I kept asking myself, is Chosen gonna win? Is he gonna beat this? But when you think about the story and the arcs throughout the whole season, you would know right away that he would not win that fight. That the ultimate defeat would be done at the hands of Daniel, because it was pretty much him versus Daniel the whole season. So if there's any arc if there's anyone that's going to earn the right to defeat Silver, it would be Daniel, not Chosen. I mean, Chosen was there.
Right.
Chosen
right.
was part of the plot, but he wasn't but it wasn't his arc. It was Daniel's arc. He was just part
And it
of
was
Daniel's
great
arc.
with what Daniel did when he fought Silver the second time.
Yes.
He used Silver's methods and
He did.
turned it
Part
on
three.
him.
Yeah.
Part three.
He turned it. Yeah.
Turn
Exactly.
it against him.
He did. Yeah.
And what did you think how Daniel ended it with the crane kick?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in that
It was
situation,
good
it'd be
because
good.
it's
Yeah.
because it's like it went back to that Karate Kid 3 movie when
Yeah.
Silver told him, "You're not going to beat Barnes with that crane crap," and
Yep.
here it is. Daniel did.
See, they see that's the thing that people love about
Mhm.
Cobra Kai. They respect what came before. I
Mhm.
mean, they're I mean, they're very self-aware, obviously. Like heck, even the moment we meet Silver in Cobra Kai, he's like, "Why was I was high on cocaine. I was high on cocaine, and I was terrorizing a teenager." Even though Ralph Macchio was like 30 years old at that point, but still, like he's like,
Well,
I
it's
was
funny because
hopped
Ralph
up on
Macchio
cocaine.
in real life is actually older than Thomas Ian Griffith by 2 years.
Yeah, he's like, because I think he's 60, 61. He looks
Ralph's is
so
like
freaking
60
good
and-
for 60, 61 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you take care of yourself, and he seems to have a good family, so I think all that
I
helps.
think it's the Italian. I think it's
yeah, maybe
it's all the
could be that too.
wine. It's all the wine and the olive oil and the
Yeah, it could
the
be.
clean eating. Probably it's very much clean
Right.
eating. He lost weight. I mean, he lost a lot of weight, and he trained for this role. I mean,
Oh,
I mean,
I
he's
can
just,
see that.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing but respect. And even when the media baits him into saying stupid shit, he actually doesn't take the bait. So I have nothing but respect for Ralph Macchio.
That's great, man.
And
yeah, he's
and William Zabka is awesome too. I mean,
yeah, he's a big fan of Gina Carano. I remember he met her recently, or they talked or something at some convention. It was pretty crazy. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
they seem like already really good friends.
yeah.
so that already makes William Zabka awesome. So
Yep.
That's right. And even Ralph has a book that he just published that's out on without being sales. It's called Waxing On, or it's his story.
are you in a wind tunnel, Cash?
No, I don't think so.
Are you on a secret mission? Are you trying to escape Dr. No's lair or something?
Probably.
You're in a wind tunnel right now.
Probably. There is some TV in the background. Is that what you're hearing?
I don't know. I just hear.
Oh.
That's why I was asking if
Might
you were
have
in a
been.
wind tunnel.
Yes.
Like I know Mike's in Cybertron right now, so
He
that's why it's so
is.
quiet on his end.
That's right.
Right, Mike.
Right.
So then, where is Brian then?
I'm in my bedroom. My TV. My TV's on. Looks like some creepy anime
Yeah.
light panel or something. maybe I'm putting aside my my insanity. I'm
Your
going past.
insanity.
Yeah. There's a movie I was doing called Perfect Blue, where when you see that type of glow on a wall or a screen, and the character's looking at it, they're
Wow.
looking at delusion, and if they have their back turned to it, that means they're looking at reality. It's an artistic type of thing. So that's kind of what I was talking about. So I know it doesn't make any sense because of the lack of context, but
Right.
it's one of those mind F movies,
Mm-hmm. I got you.
And this is the name of Ralph Macchio's book right here, Waxing on the Karate Kid and Me hardcover. That just came out last month.
Yep.
Are you gonna read it? Are any of you guys gonna read it at all?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've never been a big.
I'm not a book reader.
Ralph Macchio. I think he's a good actor. I think in these roles he plays well. He was also good in My Cousin Vinny. He didn't have a big role in that, but he was good in it.
Yeah,
he had some good lines. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he was the. I think he was the one that went to jail, and they needed Joe Pesci to get him out. So yeah. Now that was a great movie. I liked My Cousin Vinny.
Two Utes. Yeah. What's a Ute?
Yeah, Marissa Tomei definitely deserved to win the Academy Award that year for her role.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And you know who else was in that movie shortly before he passed away? Fred Gwynne was the judge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he smoked a lot in his life, though. But yeah,
he probably.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You can tell it, and usually in his voice. But yeah, he was a really good actor too. The judge is great.
Cash Money, why are you bad mouthing Herman?
Huh? Herman?
Why? Yeah, Herman.
Herman.
Yeah, Herman.
Are you guys going to see the new Monsters? By the way.
No.
Is there going to be like graphic? Is there going to be like graphic violence?
No.
Dude, is like Grandpa going to be like biting?
Yes,
biting like somebody's neck off and everything.
No, it's going to be some
the Devil's
stupid
Rejects version.
There's going to be some kind of agenda in there. It's not going to feel like the Monsters from the old show.
Is William Forsythe going to be telling kids, I'm going to I'm going to gouge your eyes out?
I don't know.
F you, like he stole directly.
There's probably going to be some ridiculous bathroom humor in that movie, and I can just see it going bad. I just
and of course, to have a true Rob Zombie movie, you have to have Sherry Moon Zombie playing the female lead. I'm assuming she's playing Lily Munster.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I could look it up. Just
look it up, Mike. If I'm right, then you gotta I don't know.
But you
got maybe you guys should all become Nerdporial Continuum members.
Oh boy. He's trying to push that membership again. All right, red alert.
All joking aside.
I do still have that sound clip on here. I never took it away. So I can go ahead and play it real quick, or I'll just.
Oh man.
All right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
We're gonna play the trailer of the Monsters again.
I'm just gonna show what they're showing on IMDb. I mean, I'm sorry, it's an embarrassment.
Okay.
Oh boy!
I remember they made TV movies for the Monsters for like decades.
They did. They did.
The 80s, the 90s.
Yeah, I think they
did.
Looks
terrible.
Yeah.
This looks terrible. Looks like a freaking cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
The original is still a classic, though.
And the winner and still champion, the Nerdporial life form. Why? Because Sherry Moon Zombie is a lead star. Are we surprised? No.
Anybody who's watched any Rob Zombie movie would know this right away. So this is not even exclusive knowledge. Any horror fan will know right away. And I don't even consider myself like, a true horror fan. Like I've only seen a handful of horror films. Like if I tried to hop into the horror community, they'd laugh at me. They call me a normie, and they'd be right.
They could say that about me too. I mean, there are very few horror movies I've actually enjoyed, or, to an extent, laughed at. I used to laugh at the Friday.
I was going to ask you, have you enjoyed any Rob Zombie horror films?
No.
Have you ever seen have you ever seen like The Devil's Rejects or?
I saw The Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses, and I'm all, this is some weird, fucked up shit.
Devil's Rejects.
He's a weird dude.
Extremely fucked up. Well, yeah, I mean,
look at his music. I mean, the guy is weird, but
he's metal. Like, he's just metal. He's just a metal guy, right? Am I
yeah,
correct?
pretty much.
Yeah.
He came out when my one of my buddies in '99, we went to this almost acoustic Christmas concert. Rob Zombie came out in a Santa suit. So. He did though.
In 99, wasn't that like decade? Wasn't that like 40 years ago?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, dude.
I was a kid. I could say I was a kid. I was a teenager when I was a kid.
But that was a really
21.
good concert. So it was a really good concert.
Oh boy. So I'm just curious, like what else? What's the next IP do you guys think they're gonna pull out? So they already did. You and I talked about this. They already took Little Nemo, Adventures of Slumberland, that old movie. Then they made the game Dream Master. They're redoing that for a modern audience with having a female, with having a female lead this time. Nema, not Nemo, Nema. Apparently she's supposed to be the daughter though, so who knows? Maybe it won't be bad. Maybe it might be good. Maybe it's a good passing of the torch. Maybe they'll do it right with a good female lead. I don't know. But it seems like they're really trying to. They're like digging. They're digging for every IP, and
But they can't touch certain ones, dude. Like they can't touch Citizen Kane. If they tried it, it wouldn't work.
Do you think they would? Do you think they tried?
I think with that one they wouldn't, but I didn't think they would ever make Clash of the Titans, and they made 2 of those. So
instead of Charles Foster Kane, you'd have Charlotte, Felicia.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it would probably star. Kane. We don't want to give them ideas because you never know who's listening. Oh, hey, that's a good idea. Let's try it with a female lead. No, that's not.
I wouldn't want them to remake Taxi Driver. No,
I've said this in the past. If they ever made a sequel to Taxi Driver, what would they call it? Uber Driver?
Lyft, Uber? I don't know.
I mean, Travis Bickle, would still be around, driving around New York, and he'd be an Uber
the
driver.
DoorDasher.
I mean, we're gonna get a Wonka series for some reason. It's like we already covered pretty much everything in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Why do we need this?
It's a prequel. We need to know where we need to know how the Chocolate Factory was built. We need to know where the Oompa Loompas came from.
Well, we know where they came from.
We need to know where Willy Wonka was born, and we need to know why he was bullied and why he's a toxic male, why he's truly
he's toxic male, right?
And last night on Pop Talk, I talked about how they're coming out for Friday the 13th prequel series called Crystal Lake.
Boy. Why?
I heard about that.
It's
I
too
did not
much,
read it.
man. It's just too much.
They've got no imagination.
Cash, you don't want. Cash, you don't have.
Go ahead.
Cash, you don't want. You don't want a prequel to Friday 13th. You don't want to know why Mrs. Voorhees is crazy.
No.
You don't want to know why Jason drowned. Don't you want to know?
We should watch some of those movies again. I haven't watched those in a long time, so I think I watched 1 and 2, but right.
I'll be honest. That is such an effective soundtrack. Harry Manfredini. The 2 reasons why Friday 13th became a franchise. A, Harry Manfredini's score, and B, Tom Savini's practical makeup effects. Those 2.
Okay.
They had nothing to do with Victor Miller's writing or Sean S. Cunningham's directing, or even any of the actors. Well, maybe Kevin Bacon, because Kevin Bacon is Kevin Bacon. He's got the look, he's got the hair, and he had the best kill. He had the best kill in the movie. Arrow through the bed, through the neck. Right?
He wasn't bad in Hollow Man. Did you guys ever see that? The movie wasn't bad.
No, I've never seen it.
It was good. It was actually good. I don't know. They won't find imagination. They should try something and fail, and then that could turn into something else. They won't do that either usually. So
and then of course the other issue, and I've talked about this. I deal with I've done stuff with the White Cloaks, and they pretty much talk mainly about Wheel of Time and how how the new show on Amazon Prime just does not is not faithful to its source material, and we're getting more and more examples of that throughout this. So it's like there's so many issues going on with Hollywood. Like I wouldn't be surprised. Like have you ever seen like some movies take place in the future? Yeah, I think that also included Star Trek, where they say, "Oh, people stop watching TV and movies after a certain point in the 21st century." I'm curious if this. I'm curious if this is the reason, because of how bad storytelling has become.
It's so like I would like to see Squid Game. I heard good things about that. Like I would watch that with you guys if you wanted to watch Squid Game.
Squid Game is a good show. I mean, it's your typical you play a game, and when you're out, instead of you being out, you get kicked out, you die. That's what it is. So
I just wish Hollywood would take more lessons from Cobra Kai and Top Gun Maverick. On how to do a proper
and Bullet Train
movie or proper TV series.
Yeah, they bring back these old shows. It's just look, I mean, I'm surprised that the reboot of Magnum PI is still going on, and now it's gone to another network, but it's still on. It's never going to be as great as the original. It just never will be.
No,
but
it's not.
They did such a dang good job with the Hawaii Five-0, and it didn't go obviously as long as the original. The original had like 20 seasons or something like that. It's insane. But
and you know who runs Hawaii Five-0?
Alex Kurtzman.
Yep, and I think Roberto Orci as well.
Was Kurtzman part of the reboot of Hawaii Five-0?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess he was. It was still so dang good though. Such a good show. Like they added some stuff that you didn't even see in the original. You learned more about the characters.
I mean, there were good shows that Abrams and Kurtzman and did good
Abrams
jobs. I don't know how they ended Fringe, but the 3 seasons of Fringe that I watched were really good.
Right.
And, I mean, I like the early seasons of Lost too.
I liked Lost. I still liked how it ended
until the last season.
Ended.
Yeah.
I know people had mixed feelings about the ending, but it didn't bother me too much. I was like, yeah, I see how I saw from both sides. Okay, so it was all just basically that they were already dead or this and that. I still like Lost a lot.
They're not dead. That was a bad idea. Making them in purgatory. I was just like,
they were
okay,
in purgatory,
you did. So the mystery box opened, and there was nothing in the mystery box. That's basically what. That was basically the scenario for Lost. Like they had to end the show, and they didn't know how to end it.
But I didn't think it was terrible. Just like people have mixed feelings about the ending still to Battlestar Galactica. I liked how it ended a lot. I like how that reboot series ended. I was like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Let's go back to, building stuff again, because we're, landing on Earth and there's problems in the galaxy and we need to start over. Yeah, it made sense to me. But other people had problems with that. I remember talking to people, different friends of mine had issues with that. I know people still have issues with Lost. I know my brother's best friend still has issues with Lost, I think. The ending, maybe he loved it, but then there's great shows that are underrated. I think like Person of Interest, that show was great, and they killed off the main character, but it was great. And Abrams produced that. The thing is, like, but with Star Trek and Star Wars, like, it's a humongous beast. Just like Lord of the Rings, just like a lot of this stuff, X-Men, like, and you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to change this, and this.
For a modern
and we know
audience.
This is going to work. Right. Exactly. It's just not going to, it's like, I'm worried about the X-Men 97 series, and this is supposed to follow the cartoon from the 90s. And I'm like, well, the boss came out and said, if you don't honor the source material, you're going to be fired. There was a video on that. I was like, I mean, I hope so.
Again? For what show?
X-Men, the 90s X-Men cartoon. They're doing X-Men 97. So,
I mean, there were some really good Amazon shows. Like, even though Rings of Power was
people like the Terminal List,
a monumental failure and fan endearment. But Amazon has some good shows. I mean, there's Reacher. I mean, I watched Reacher.
I liked Reacher too, man. It was.
I liked The Man in the High Castle.
Oh, I
I
didn't
only
see that
watched
one.
2 seasons. I hear it falls apart after season 3. I haven't watched the rest. It took them forever to come out with the 3rd season, so I never even bothered continuing it. So, but there's also the Terminal List, which I've only
What I've
seen half
heard.
the season.
I
That
gotta watch that.
like the first episode, like literally ripped like that first episode and the first episode of Primal literally ripped my heart out and ate it. Like it was so heartbreaking to see what they showed at the end of those first episodes. And now the show I'm currently listening to, that I'm going to be doing with Prophet the Dragon, in roughly an hour, we're going to be doing Watch Party. Peripheral. That's an interesting new series
Okay.
based on a book by, if you guys ever heard of William Gibson, who wrote, Neuromancer, and who coined the term, cyberpunk. So
Okay.
it's just it's another Amazon. It's another interesting show about using a peripheral, like like a headset that takes you to what they believe is an alternate reality or virtual reality, but it's actually not. It takes you to another time, believe it or not. So
You're the second
actually,
person I've heard talk about Peripheral and how good it is. It's making me want to check it out.
Yeah,
I
is
wouldn't
this
say
the one?
I wouldn't say it's good per se. I fell
Okay.
asleep trying to watch the first episode, but there are some really good scenes with, like, because the same people that produced produced Westworld, Lisa Joy and her
Yes,
husband,
that's
Jonathan
right.
Nolan, brother of Christopher Nolan.
Right.
They're executive producers on this series, and so I know one of the actors who played, like, the if you've seen season 1, the first episode, Dolores's dad, the first model of Dolores's dad. Well, he plays one of the villains in this show, and he steals it. Like he hits it out of the park every scene he's in. Every time I see him, he's always up to something, and there's always tension, usually between him or another character. And like I think he's one of the best characters in the show. Every scene with him, he steals it. But a lot of the other scenes is just them talking and talking and talking, and the scenes are long. Like, these are not short scenes. Like, if a scene is long enough, and this is probably a me issue more than the show issue, I tend to fall asleep. I don't know if how you guys react to really long scenes, but if a scene is so long and keeps going and going, if I'm laying down in my bed, I'm gonna doze off.
If the scene's not going anywhere, I generally fall asleep or change the channel or turn it off.
Change the channel. 90s called, Mike. They want their TV back.
I actually still have the TV and the cable box. But this is what I'm currently watching. War of the Worlds on Epix.
Is this a new show? Is this a new one?
Yeah, new TV series. It's currently in its 3rd season, but I only just recently finished season 1.
Okay.
So is it another modern take on, or is it an actual period piece which takes place during the original novel, which was
no?
1898?
Unfortunately, it does not take place in the original novel's time period. It is a modern take on it, but so far from what I've seen, it's pretty good. I want to see where it goes with some of the characters that they're pushing from season 1. When I start watching season 2, I want to see where they took it, and I want to see where it is currently in season 3.
Speaking of War of the Worlds, me and maybe a certain Mr. Baron Ormond-Tag may or may not have been part of a project recreating the old 1938 radio special,
Yeah,
the
I might have
Orson
heard
Welles
something
radio
about that.
special of War of the Worlds that Mr. Salty Texas C put together himself. So just saying, go check out and subscribe to Salty Texas C. I'm shilling for him. He's paying me right now to say that.
Well, it's good. Like I told you the other day, I didn't listen to the War of the Worlds since I was in elementary school, and to hear the production that he put on with you, Baron, Purple Valkyrie, and so many others, you guys all did a great job.
I appreciate that. I thought everybody was great, and I thought I was cringe. But that's because whenever I hear the sound of my own voice, I cringe. It's a me issue. It's more of a me issue.
I'm the same way. I don't like the sound of my own voice.
Well, except Cash. Cash is the only thing worse than me. Just kidding, Cash.
No.
I just had to dig into you again. So
yes,
but no, you actually have a great voice, Cash. To be honest,
Mr. Chickless, yeah, dude, I don't mind your voice either, Brian. Brian always cracks me up because the first time he ever came on stream, he's just like he started making some joke about money. I was like, and I wonder if he was thinking that I would be offended by it because that's just not my personality.
No, I was hoping you'd be annoyed because I like to. By the way, do you like the name that I identify as today, Mike? Since you were talking about send me a link.
Send me a link for real. Yeah.
That's another shtick I just kind of started for myself. Every time I do a stream, I always try to come up with a new name just to say, "Oh, hey, I identify as this today." So, and if you don't call me by that, I get triggered. So.
Well, I thought it was funny on Tuesday night where Baron's going by, the Nerporial tag, and I just thought that was funny.
I'm like, where did he get that? I was like, where did he get that? Did he screenshot my thing? You just have to watch one of my videos, just do a screen cut, and there you go. So, for a second, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, that's trippy. So.
Yep.
So, any other thoughts here on season 5 of Cobra Kai?
Did you guys talk about the pregnancy? Do you think they're going to give birth in the next season?
Probably. I think they might.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me. They might, but I have a feeling that something might happen. They might get married before they have the kid.
I loved how Johnny managed to get them to squash their beefs. I thought that was great. Like they fight, and it got pretty crazy. Then he was like, he revealed, "Hey, your mom is pregnant," and everything. And they both react to it. They both stop. They both stop their beefs right away.
The flashbacks started coming back. Like they do I wish more shows would do this again because we had this before, and these flashbacks connected so well in all these different shows. And with Cobra Kai, it's great. It's like, oh, remember what Robbie did to Miguel at the school, and it's like, oh man, do we want that to repeat? And yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
I love. Once again, I loved season 5. They wrapped up so much. Like I couldn't believe how much they wrapped up in this season. But it felt worth it. It felt like it felt very meaningful and very. Just felt very good. Just felt very good to see things go well for characters and things to be mended and relationships.
Yes.
And I think that's what's important. And I honestly hope if they do season 6 that they don't just start that over again.
Yeah, don't phone it in.
Don't start that over again. Just leave it as it is.
Yes.
And then let's I want Johnny. Well, I want Johnny and Daniel to come to mend terms with Kreese. I think that'd be the perfect ending for the series.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
So, but yeah, love it. Season 5 rocks.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
I'm going to give season 5 a 7.5 out of 10.
All right.
Mike is a tougher sell than me. I'm too
I'm a little higher.
I'm too positive.
Mine's in a 9. I'm in a 9.
Mine's an 8.
8, just 8.0.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Mike's the tough.
He can be tough, man.
He is. Yes,
very
he is.
tough.
I don't know. I just don't.
He shows no mercy.
There has to be a really good reason for me to give a season or a show or a movie a 9. Or even a 10 out of 10. Like I see some of these reviewers, I'm like, man, you guys gave that game like a perfect score. That's rough. Even
That's
stuff like
letdown.
Ocarina of Time, it's like, to me, it would be still a 9 out of 10. I just can't. Something that I consider like close to perfect would probably be like Half-Life 2. That game is just incredible to me. So, yep.
Half-Life 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I tried playing. First game is tough. First half is tough.
It's a tough game, man, but you'll get through it. Just take a better approach than Paul does with games. You'll be fine.
Easy. I never knew that.
Yeah, hopefully you'll hear that if he goes back and watches this part of the stream. But they're all watching Caddyshack 2 right now. They say they're
on
trolling.
his server. On his server. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Tomorrow I'm going to be hosting Lady Hawk because Gray Wakizashi's Tea House is going to be doing a stream talking about that at 11 o'clock Central because he's 12 hours ahead in Japan. So 11 o'clock
wow.
Central, our time is 1 p.m. his time, 1 p.m.
Wow,
in the
Lady
afternoon his time.
Hawk.
So
Gosh.
I've never seen
Wow.
Lady Hawk, so that is
Yeah.
going to be it's going to be interesting trying to watch that. So, well, I'm going to procure the movie and watch it on my Discord tomorrow before before the stream. So,
Okay.
Cool.
Well, Cobra, is there anything that you'd like to promote?
I really don't have anything at this point that I'm promoting. I mean, I'm kind of going into some transition as to what I'm going to put out for content. If you look at my avatar, it kind of gives you a clue as to what I might be talking about. I'm going to get away from I'm basically going to be getting away from talking about Cobra Kai, Disneyland, Star Wars, because, there's various reasons as to why I'm pulling away from there, but doing something different and might even change my YouTube handle.
are you gonna check out Super Nintendo Land when it debuts at Universal? Because I
that
want
might be pretty,
want to.
I
Yeah.
want to try that. I want to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my wife would love to go to Disney World to check out the Avatar Land.
I heard nothing but good things about Avatar.
Me too.
Avatar Land. So
I've heard some good things about it.
Yeah. No, we just got back from our trip to Disneyland last month, and it was nice and all that. And I had a rare occasion where I went on one of the rides where I was actually in the front row. So I got my phone out, I recorded it, put it on my channel. It's funny because it's like my second most watched video on my channel that I got.
Cool, man.
Nice, man.
By the way, if I heard a dog. By the way, when I do go to Universal, when I do go to Super Nintendo World, Cash, I will bring you back a purple mushroom.
Purple mushroom? Why purple?
Well, if you know your Mario lore, you have your red mushroom.
Oh yes,
makes you big. Green mushroom gives you extra life.
That's
the purple
right.
mushroom kills you.
Does it? Oh boy,
It's the poison.
Super
poison
Mario Brothers 2.
From the original Japanese too.
Gosh, I forgot the.
Of course, it'd probably be a candy and it'd be harmless, probably. That's a thought that counts, right? Yes.
Sure. Oh man, yes. No. Yeah. Super Mario Land opens. No, it's fine, man. Mr. Chickless over here. You've still not watched The Shield, though, right?
I want to. I heard nothing but good things about The Shield from everybody.
Well, when you do,
it's worth a watch.
Let me know and we'll watch it. All right. When you're ready to watch The Shield, we'll watch The Shield, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a means of watching it, and then I'll probably, do a watch party. All
right, man.
So, Cash, what do you have coming up on Phantom Hooligans?
Well, hopefully soon. I got to get my Saints Row 2 going because I've got a campaign for saying don't play the reboot. Everything that's been shown of it, just don't play it. It bombed for a reason. The sales are horrible. Like, it's just anything that was shown. It's like, yeah, you can still try these games, but I don't know. I gotta hopefully start that this week. I just gotta make sure I get enough energy. I sometimes find myself more on Mike's channel than doing my own stuff lately, which is fine. I don't mind going on other channels too. So
cool, awesome. And as far as what's coming up here on PACIFIC414, well, I will record my review for episode 5 of Chucky, and I will have that uploaded as soon as I can. Of course, Sunday's Pop Talk at 11 a.m. Eastern. And yes, call me crazy. Call me as someone who wants to endure a lot of pain. But I am going to stream the original Ninja Gaiden on both YouTube channel and Twitch channel.
You enjoy your pain, dude.
You are going to be there for a long time because you die once against the final boss, you're going to be sent 3 levels back. Whether or not you have full, if you have multiple lives, it's crazy. Yeah. It's like who in their right mind, which programmer decided to troll the troll the player like that. Like
Oh,
seriously.
it's all like that. I mean, you play any of these NES games, and one of my friends, there was a thing. What happened was, if you guys don't know, with NES, Nintendo was finding out that people were renting these games, they were beating them in a weekend, and they said, okay, so we're just going to double, triple, quadruple the difficulty so you guys can burn in hell, basically. Like,
I did
this is
not
a
know
true
that.
Story. No, it's a true story. There's a video
I've-
on it. I'm like,
I've heard
man, that is
I've heard
brutal.
Nintendo go after like video rental stores in the 80s because of dip in sales or something. I've heard. So
You know,
that'd be something interesting to research actually. now that I think
yeah,
about it.
definitely.
But yeah, that's what's coming up on the channel. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Thank you, Cash,
Yeah, no
for
problem.
being
dude.
here to discuss this previous season of Cobra Kai. And will there be a season 6? Well, Netflix,
Hopefully.
the ball's in your court.
That's
Sony,
right.
the ball's in your court. Give us an answer.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
please.
let's see, Baron's saying
We're not going
when
to
you're
actually watch the stream though if we join the.
I'm not hurting my eyes by watching Caddyshack 2.
Seriously, movie's pretty awful.
Just looking
Yeah.
at some of the shots on his channel burns your eyes out.
Oh, Chumps? Chumps? Who you calling Chump?
Yeah, seriously, Orca man, Orca whale guy person.
So, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, everybody who came by to watch the stream. I do want to thank you, Cobra Disney Jedi, once again. Nerporeal, thank you. Star Wars guys, Baron, thank you very much. Crit, thank you very much. And Leia Rose, Phil McCracken, what have you done to my guys, huh? What have you done to my guys? You have hurt them in so many ways you don't even know, Phil McCracken.
What have you done to my boy? You gotta massacre my boy.
You're gonna break him, man.
I also want to say
What
thank
did
you
I
to
do to earn this disrespect and even call me Godfather? And then your enemies will become my enemies, and then they will fear you.
That's a movie we need to get Paul to watch.
Oh,
The original Godfather. Yeah, we
Yes,
can get a
yes,
whole big.
yes.
We should get a big watch party for that. Yeah, definitely.
I want to thank Dempsey for also being here. Appreciate it.
Dempsey's the man.
Yeah. And let's see, make sure I don't forget anybody else. And let's see.
I'm never listening to Phil again.
I told you not to. I told you not to.
Dude.
What did you do? You ignored me.
Ignores. Yep.
Hashtag justice for Caddyshack 2.
We're gonna join that VC and laugh at those people, Mike. After this, that's what we're gonna do.
You know what? That sounds like a good plan to me.
Yes, it does.
So thank you, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of your Thursday evening. You know, the weekend's coming. Have some fun. Take care.
Yep.